The old arena is long gone. Mike Liut had not worn a blue sweater since Harry Ornest wanted to save some money and traded him. But the chants of Liut still echoing around Oakland Avenue if you listen hard enough. Mike arrived in St. Louis after 4 years at Bowling Green University and 2 years in the old World Hockey Association. He made an immediate impact with the Blues. He played in 64 games as a rookie. During his second season, he became the top goaltender in the National Hockey League with a record of 33, 14, and 13. Those were still the days when there were ties in the NHL. Mike was a runner-up to Wayne Gretzky for the Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player. He won the Lester Pearson Trophy as the league's MVP, as determined by his peers. Mike played 6 seasons for the Note, 386 games, 22,336 minutes in goal, wearing that terrible mask. He tied with Greg Millen for the most Blues playoff victories. Unfortunately, because Ornest wanted to save money, Mike was traded to Hartford, where he led the league for the best goals against average in his second season with the Whalers. He left Hartford holding 14 franchise records, and he finished his career with Washington. Now, the Blues, if you're a hockey fan of this town, have been blessed with some great goalies. Glenn Hall, Jacques Plante, Curtis Joseph, Grant Fuhr, and the man we honor here tonight with induction in the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame, in from Toronto. Welcome, Mike Liut. Here's Randy Carricker, 101 ESPN.
All right, thank you, Ron. And congratulations to Mike Liut. I remember, by the way, it was a playoff game against Chicago, and I don't remember who hit you in that mask, which I think was great. And Gus Kyle, who was Dan Kelly's radio partner, Mike had come out of the game. Gus Kyle said, I don't know if Mike's going to be able to come in. That blood running out of his nose is going right down into his eyes, and I don't think he can see. You got your introduction actually to St. Louis hockey.
It was Ted Bully.
Oh, was it?
You don't forget those things.
No, not when you get smacked like that, no doubt. You actually played here in college, right, at the arena?
We did Bowling Green and St. Louis were in the same CCHA, or actually the two schools that started the CCHA. So it was an introduction to the St. Louis Blues because we would play Friday and Sunday and attend the Blues game on Saturday.
And after college, you leave Bowling Green and you get drafted by the Blues. But as you told us on the radio today, things were tenuous with the Blues at that time.
Well, it was unfortunate for me. And when I graduated at the St. Louis Blues, the Solomon family had literally walked away from the franchise. So we had no other alternative but to sign with Cincinnati. And, of course, the owner of Cincinnati was Bill DeWitt Jr. So it's kind of come full circle here.
And then the NHL and the WHA merge. You come here with young veterans like Federico and Sutter, Perry Turnbull, Wayne Babbage. You walked into a pretty good situation in terms of having good fellow young players, didn't you? We did.
We had what turned out to be a good blend of some young players and guys that solidified the lineup that had been in the league that we'd picked up from other places, Blake Dunlop and so forth. And it was Larry was here, Patey, and it was a good team.
The interesting thing about the Saturday nights during that season that Ron talked about, Mike finished second in the MVP voting to Wayne Gretzky, who got only 5 more votes that year, 242 to 237. But in that 80-81 year, you guys were right there on the edge of being the top team in the entire league.
We were. We had a battle with the Islanders down the stretch and came up a little bit short. And the playoffs were just that was kind of, I have to say, that's the most disappointing part of having played here because we thought we were really close.
You remember the lights going out during the playoff game against the Rangers?
Yeah, well, the building was...
Before the game started, right?
And we were delayed that day. And, there was just a lot of things that happened in that playoff series, starting with the Penguin series in the first round and then, continued over. And, none of it helped us. And, it was a tough loss.
Winning that Penguin series in 1981 is really an underrated great moment in Blues history. What do you remember about that last game against them?
I remember that Mike Crombie hadn't played in about a period and a half. He stepped on the ice and scored the winner. So it was, but it was a tough series, and it really took a lot out of us because we played, 4 games in 5 nights, and you had a day off, and you play the 5th game, and it was double overtime, I think, and then you had 1 day off, and you had to play 4 and 5 again, and that was just not fair.
You were, as a player, so invested in this community, and you get traded in February of 1985. Did that come as a surprise, or did you feel like something was coming?
Well, it had been rumored. There was a certain cost cutting going on, and that it was. I think we're all a little fatalistic about it because it's part of the landscape. You get traded, and but it didn't make it any easier. And it was one of those early morning calls that are out of sequence, and it's not good news. And the tough part about it for me personally was that I married my wife is from here and from Illinois, and so you have family in the area, and so you're really leaving more than just another hockey team.
And finally, not many players wind up being player representatives. How did that come about that you became an agent?
Well, I went to law school, and I was involved with the Players Association at that time, and eventually they were going to move to Detroit, and they didn't, and that's where I was going to law school, and I had some players reach out to me, and you just sort of slowly seep into the bog, and before you know it, you're there for life.
Mike Liut, one of the all-time great Blues, and one of our favorite cheers ever, by the way, whether it was Bruce or Lou, but we had it with Mike, with Liut. It's my pleasure to help induct former Blues goalie Mike Liut into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.